And I'm really excited to have you all here tonight. And as Rob said, we're going to be recording this meeting. So if you're uncomfortable, you can just turn your camera off or send him a private message. Yeah, so thank you all for coming. We have three really incredible local farmers with us tonight, Hector, Azeem, and Richard, and they're here to share all their insights and answer any questions you have about farming and potentially how to start your journey with farming. So I'll just let you all know a little bit about Green Village Initiative. If you're unfamiliar with us, we are a nonprofit food justice organization whose mission is to grow food, knowledge, leadership, and community. And we have really 4 awesome programs to help us reach our mission, which is our Reservoir Community Farm, which is an urban farm on Reservoir Ave. And Rich works there. And our Community Gardens program, our School Garden program, and a Youth Leadership program. And to find out more, you should check out our website, and I'm putting the link to it in the chat if you want to go check us out. Why don't we go around before we get officially started, and why don't we just say our names, pronouns, and what brought you here tonight? And I'm going to pass it off to Emma to get the ball rolling.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emma. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I also work with GVI, and I'm so excited to be here for this panel. I'll popcorn it to Azeem.
Somehow I knew I was going to be next. My name is Azeem. A lot of people know me as Blessings. I was in, he, him pronouns. I was invited to take part as a panel discusser, and that's why I'm here. I shall popcorn it to. Should I pick someone random or just? All right, I'm gonna pass it to my boy Freedom. Peace.
Yeah. So thank you guys. Most of you know me by Freedom, but my name is Hector. But you can call me Freedom. And I'm here as a panelist. So I'm just glad to be in this space and break bread with you guys and, plant some seeds. And I pass it to Brianna.
Hey everyone, my name is Brianna. I use they, them pronouns. I am the Director of Operations at GVI, and I'm here to learn a lot more about farming. I'm excited to be here. And I pass to Shirlene. Go ahead. Thank you, Brianna. My name is Shirlene Rodriguez. I use she, her pronouns. I am with GVI and I run the School Garden program. And I volunteered to be a panelist tonight. So I'm really happy to be here with you all. And I'll pass it over to Simone.
Hey y'all, can you hear me all right? I'm Simone. I use all pronouns and I'm a general participant tonight, and again, grateful to be here and always looking forward to learning more about how to grow food. I'll popcorn it to, let's see, has Lofi or Lo-Fi gone yet?
Testing 1 2.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Hi, my name is Kamari, and my pronouns are he, him, and I'm a former youth from GVI, the Reservoir Farm. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
That's awesome. I'll pass it to Maria.
Hola a todos. My first language is in Spanish, so I'm saying in Spanish and in English. So mi nombre es María Ramos, mi pronombre es ella. Soy capitana de el Community Garden o Jardín Comunitario de 75 Reed Avenue. Y mi rol aquí hoy es aprender de los agricultores que ya saben y tienen experiencia. So, hello everyone, my name is María Ramos. My pronoun is she o ella. Captain to Community Garden to 75 Reed Avenue. So my role today in this meeting is learn or asking questions about the farming, because only participate 4.5 years in GVI. So I'm very baby to farming too. Thank you so much for this platform.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I saw Yash, if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, I apologize, wrote in the chat. So check that out. Really happy to have you here. And I think that is everyone. Cinnamon, welcome. Thank you for being here with us. We're about to get started. So let us go. So my first question for our panelists is to just go around and tell us who you are, tell us about your farm or your growing space, and what inspired you to be a farmer. And whoever wants to go first, go ahead.
Go ahead, Blessings. You got the floor.
What up? All right. So yeah, I'm Azeem or Blessings. I think more people know me as Blessings than Azeem. It's the name I got out in the street. What got me started farming was it was a 1-2 punch. Both those punches came from my beautiful wife. Yeah, she was the person who came in and was like, hey, I'm the wholesale manager at this fancy farm out in West Granby. You should come try working for a season, you know, for harvest season. I'm like, oh, okay. And I went out there as the only Black dude out there, right? And I remember having severe culture shock at looking at peppers grow on the pepper plant. I'm like, oh my God, do y'all see that? It's like on the thing. It's like, and then all these white folk are like, yes, that's exactly what happens. Peppers grow peppers. Pepper plants grow peppers. Congratulations. And I'm just like, yo, I don't understand. This ain't like where I'm from. We ain't got that where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? And that always stuck with me, among a number of things. Just to make it brief, my wife got me involved in this, and then she came up with the idea to start this thing called Samad Gardens Initiative in March of 2020. And I wasn't really a farmer then. I worked the season, and I'm also Native American, so I had some knowledge of traditional medicine plant medicine. But it was really her who got me started, and I had to learn a lot to the point where I actually have some level of authority and a proper degree of knowledge. And yeah, did I answer the question fully?
Yeah, that was awesome. Do you want to talk a little bit more about your space and where you are farming?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All over the place. So we leased a half-acre of Sunsbury. We have, what is this, about between 2 and 3 acres that we're utilizing in Windsor Locks. We have some garden space in Hartford, and we're working on setting up more for the community. And we will be working some space down in Georgia. Don't ask me how. It's a lot of back and forth, and it's going to be a lot of work, but it's something that we have fun doing. Yeah, I don't know if I missed anything else on that. Any other aspects of that question?
No, that's really awesome. I'm gonna pass it over to Richard to introduce himself, and then we'll do another round of questions. So same question, Richard, introduce yourself, tell us about farm and what inspired you to become a farmer.
He, him pronouns, Farmer Rich. I'm the assistant farm manager at Reservoir Community Farm. I also own my own business as a co-owner with Park City Harvest. I started farming from a young age. My grandma was in this, my grandmother's grandmother was in this. Yeah, my grandmother was known as like the mango lady in Jamaica. She made like multiple mangoes onto one tree. It looked like magic for me. So if I could be a magician and get paid for it, that's cool. So right now I started off in community gardens and then went to multiple community gardens, then multiple community gardens. And now I'm all in one area, which is about 3/4 acre. And then we're going to be working more as the time goes. I started off with mainly vegetables that I'll grow for farmers markets, but the spot that I'm at now, unlike the community gardens, are not gated, so all that got eaten up. So I switched my tactics. Right now, I'm mainly growing pure herbs, all herbs on all the land, and stuff that I grow for my products. So right now, I'm mainly growing a few stuff for farmers markets and stuff that I'm growing for my products only. Like herbs, mainly focusing on herbs and such stuff that will drive away the musky pests, the pests. Did I answer that correctly, or is there more?
No, that was awesome. Thank you.
All right, Hector.
Yes, again, my name is Freedom, he, him pronoun. I'm farming in Danbury, Connecticut, but I do work with people in Bridgeport, a ABC Family Farm. So they do flowers, they do different things in the backyard. So they're backyard farmers. So I'm working with them and they are working here as well. So I have 3 acres in Danbury that we grow hemp. We have our hemp license. So we grow hemp, we grow vegetables, and we have an apiary. So we are beekeepers as well. So my journey as a farmer started in a fire escape in New York City. My wife is a master composter. I hate compost. I love it now. Like I can't live without compost, but living in an apartment and having a smelly compost bin in your apartment is not sweet. So for me, that was like, super stressful situation. But now I understand the need for composting and doing regenerative agriculture is very necessary. So we started in New York in our fire escape. Then we moved to Bethel, Connecticut. And when the pandemic hit, we also have a nonprofit in the Bronx. We work with youth. So we work around food insecurity and police-free schools and around housing, youth homelessness. So we do a lot of work. We teach young people how to cook. And when the pandemic hit, we had a program over the summer in 2020 that we train about 10 young people to become activists in their community. And one of the projects that they had to do was a mutual aid project. And one of the mutual aid projects that they decided to do as a group was community fridges. I don't know if you guys know what community fridges are. It's a fridge that you put outside 24 hours a day. People can take food anytime they want. People can add food anytime they want, and it's free for the community. It's a community effort. But for us, the community fridges was just a Band-Aid to the food insecurity problem in our communities, because you can put food in this fridge, but people are still food insecure. A lot of people, when I used to get food, and I would take some of that food to the fridges and I stopped to get people that were, homeless people, and I give them a box of food. They say, I don't need that because I don't have a house where I'm going to cook this. I need money. I need something quick to eat. So I understood that the problem of food insecurity is not going to be over just by opening a few fridges, which in New York City right now, there's like 211 fridges right now. And I'm about to open another one in Fordham Road in the Bronx this month, tomorrow's next month, February. So in February. And then we were farming. It was Mother's Day. We're doing all this work in the city. So it's Mother's Day. And Liz tells me, I want a garden for Mother's Day. So you have to build me a garden. So I built her this little garden that we grew so much potatoes and herbs, not potatoes, tomatoes and herbs, onions. We grew so much food that like herbs and all of these things that we didn't have to buy it in the supermarket, and it clicked. And for me, I'm a cannabis grower. I've been growing cannabis on the DL for a long time in New York City. So I've been growing, like I'm a grower, you know. So it clicked on me that we should buy some land and start farming. We are also podcasters. So we have a podcast around cannabis. It's called Blue Dream Radio, the People's Cannabis Podcast. So that's why we do the hemp, because we understand that this plant was stolen from us by putting it on a Schedule 1 classification and putting us in jail and creating the mass incarceration problem that we have in this United States right now, the so-called war on drugs. Instead of putting more money towards rehabilitation, they put more money into police and imprisonment. And for us, everything came together once we bought our land. We got our hemp license. We have, you know, our vegetables. We have a little area that is just for us because we have a homestead. So we have to feed ourselves first before we feed the world. So we have a small area, and blessings been into our house. So we have, it's like a dome. So we have like a small dome of beauty that we can't wait to, you know, make it what it needs to be. So yeah, that's my journey. And I hope I answered that question right.
That was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I'm really curious, based on a lot of what you were just saying, how you all see that growing food and urban farming in particular has an impact on food insecurity and empowerment in your communities, if anyone wants to speak to that. Or perhaps more pointed, how you feel your farm and your growing impacts your community.
May you say that again? I'm sorry. What was the last part?
Or how you feel your farming and growing impacts your community.
Well, for a fact, we know that we're serving them with sustainable goods and sustainable foods, nutrition and stuff that we can. It was hard for a lot of people to get in my neighborhood where I was from. When I grew up on the east end of Bridgeport, it took a long trip to get to the supermarket to get good valuable stuff that was not in a can. Other than my grandmother saying, "Hey, let's have a crate in the backyard, line it with some plastic bag, and make sure we have some tomatoes and stuff like that." There's not a lot of people that have that same mind state. So if the people with that mind state could feed the people without that mind state, but also needs the nutritional stuff, I think we've been doing a good job at that, feeding the community. Because if not, they'll walk right by us and go and get some chili out the can, some processed stuff. You know, especially in Bridgeport, I don't mean to say it like this, but when I'm in Bridgeport, I lower my rates. Other than when I go to Milford, I higher my rates because I know I need to feed the community.
Excellent, man.
Yeah, ain't nothing to be sorry about. Yo, go ahead, bro.
Not to be sorry about your prices. So for me, it's like one of the things that we do, one of the trainings that we do with our young people, one of our icebreakers is that we tell them to go to their pantry and find 3 items: can, bag, and vegetable. So on the can, read me the ingredients and the bag. And if there's any names in there that you don't recognize, that means that there's a lot of chemicals in your food. And this is the reason why we need to be sustainable and grow our own food, because we know what the food is coming from. And like the brother said, Rich, I don't know if you know, like a lot of in New York City, a lot of the food that is being served to our young people in schools is the same food that they give prisoners. I'm not saying that the prisoners should be eating that food, but our young people should definitely not be eating that type of food. And our people think that food starts in the supermarket. So for me, it's teaching our people that the food don't start in the supermarket. There's a whole group of people that touches your food before it gets to your plate. And a lot of those people that touch your food are underpaid. They have no health benefits. They are all like either migrant workers or people of color. And they're not being represented. Like they can't even bargain for a union because they're not in the bargaining. They cannot bargain for a union. That's the law. That's the only two groups in the United States that cannot bargain. I think, no, it's just one group, and it's the farmers, the farm workers. They cannot bargain for a union, and they have doubled down on that. So for me, the impact that I can make is to teach our communities that farmers are not white people with plaid. That's a few of them, but a lot of I'm part of this group called Black Farm on Facebook. It's like it's about Black farmers. I forget the name, but it's on Facebook. And I didn't know how many Black farmers there were in the United States. There's so many farmers in the United States, Black farmers, and we don't get the attention that we need. We don't get the money that we need. And that's one of the reasons why we need to impact our communities to understand that farmers look like them. And they can too grow food in their communities. And you don't have to like have a big lot. You can grow food in your, if you have a fire escape, grow it on your fire escape. You have windows, grow it on your window. Like find a place to grow some herbs or anything that you can, so you can start getting your hands into that. And I'm gonna stop right there.
Yeah, just to veggie back on top of that, because we don't piggyback out here, we veggie back. Yeah, a lot of good points from the brothers, you know what I'm saying? And one very important thing is to make it not so much more plain, but to dig deeper on what Brother Freedom was saying, is like, yeah, farmers ain't just these poor white folk in the Midwest and the Dust Bowl with plaid and overalls on, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot deeper than that. Now we are taking this image, right? And the mind is something that works via image. If there's no image for something in your mind, it's automatically going to draw confusion. We're applying something that's actually productive for our people. So we're breaking this whole poor farmer routine, you know what I'm saying? Because what pops up in the minds of a lot of our people is actually slavery. What do you think about it? Because that's what we were doing when we were slaves here in America. We were working the land, we were making the clothes, building the houses. We were poor, beaten, killed, raped, etc. But that's the same line of work we were doing. So now we're taking that same thing that we used to build America and make it into what it is. We're using it to make something sustainable for ourselves. And that, you cannot put a value on that. Like you can't give me $1 trillion and be like, yeah, this is worth $1 trillion. It's not, it's so much more than that. What you eat directly impacts your mood. It impacts how you think. The thoughts come up in your head, you know what I'm saying? You put something in your mouth, it breaks down in your stomach, all that jazz. You literally absorb those cells into you. So your blood brings it throughout your entire body and goes right into your brain, and it impacts your brain chemistry directly. So it's not just so much like, yo, don't eat McDonald's, it's not healthy for you. It's more so going to war with these fake food peoples and these fake food agendas out here, because that's part of what's getting us in the hood. That's part of why the murder rate is so high. That's part of why mental health issues are so profound in our areas. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot deeper than just like, oh, well, do you want the organic tomato? Or do you want the processed tomato? Like, no, this is for the livelihood. This is for the liberation of all of our peoples. Not to get like necessarily too deep with it, but that's just part of the level. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot bigger than just growing food. And it starts with agriculture. The foundation of every independent nation is agriculture. So everything, I don't care who you are, you're a basketball player, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, if you're the president, you got to eat. That's all it is right there. I'm gonna put a plug on that. Thank y'all.
And to add real quick to what you're saying, like that food is at the center of everything. You cannot have an event. I don't know. I mean, I'm an organizer. If I don't have food for my young people, they're not coming. So I have to have some food. So everything is around food. You can pinpoint people's health, cancer, all these different things to the food that you eat. So for me is that we need to take control of it. And like Brother Blessing said, they brought us here for agriculture and then they beat it out of us. Now we don't want to grow food. It's like people in our community look down on us, on farmers. Why you want to be a farmer? Why you not making quick money? You know, so they bit it out of us.
Thank you for sharing. Charlene, do you have anything you want to add? Well, my next question then is actually similar to one that was just put in this chat, was what's some advice that you have for someone who's interested in growing food but isn't sure where to start? And yeah, I'll just put in the chat, one question I have is, how can I start growing at a scale of living in a small apartment or have a small backyard? And I think those questions pair really well together. So
can you put the whole question together again?
yeah. So what's some advice that you have for someone who is interested in growing food but isn't sure where to start? And specifically for an attendee here, how can you grow at a small scale if you live in an apartment?
Microgreens. Get you some microgreens, but we can talk about that. But the first part of the question, my first advice, well, for me, learn your zoning. If you are, if you're not in Bridgeport, if you're someplace else, you need, even if you're in Bridgeport, you need to learn your zoning regulations. Because for us right now, we have a fight with Danbury because Danbury only allows legally to be a farm if you have 5 acres, and we only have 3. So now we kind of have to hire a lawyer. We have to pay the zoning commission for us to even be heard. So we have to do all these different things just to be able to farm. So for me is, go and learn your zoning regulations. Go to the Department of Ag website, even though it's hard to navigate, but they give you in there, there's a document that tells you how you're gonna start farming, like the first thing you gotta do. And one thing that I would say is look for Green Village Initiative. Look for other people that's already doing the farming. Volunteer in their farm. See what they do. Learn as much as you can. Education is the key. Like we just started doing this, and we're just learning as we go. And even though we're doing it, that's not the only way to do it. If you can be a leg up and learn as much as you can before you buy your land or before you lease land, you can learn as much as you can. That's my advice for people.
Yeah, that's definitely good. What do you consider small scale when you say that? Yash.
So basically, I was trying to ask, thank you so much everybody for sharing here. Basically, like I live in an apartment, or I'm gonna sublet, a small area, and that area has like a yard. How can I start growing and start implementing these practices and like that type of scale? Like I do farming with other people and other organizations and farmers, but I'm interested, I may be interested in, growing on my own, in my own, space. How can I start doing that in a small apartment or a space where there's a small backyard?
Well, I'm sorry, did you want to go on, Brother Rich?
Nah, go ahead, Blessings.
The first thing I would say is, and it's so much easier nowadays. I mean, the world's upset about everyone going online, but guess what? Everyone is online. You can have real-time conversations without having to be in someone's face, right? So it's so much easier to find a mentor and to find community. You know what I'm saying? You can tap in with Brother Freedom. You can tap in with Big Homie Rich, myself. We're all, on IG and all those other places on social media. We don't have to be right next to each other no more. I can tap in, like I have real-time conversations with people in other countries discussing farming. You know what I'm saying? That's number one. Get you some community to help keep your head in the game, help keep you accountable. Because when you ain't got heads around who's trying to do it too, or trying to encourage you, you're gonna start slipping unless you just have a really strong will. 2, I would say, and I just happen to have this in arm's reach, is start small. I just potted up this baby cactus. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, wow.
I'm an upcycle master. This is
Nice.
a jam jar. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
You can do things. It's all about starting small, where you at, So if you're looking to do something potentially in ground in the backyard, first thing I would say is you want to take a soil test. We can see what your soil profile looks like,
Okay.
and see how suitable it is. It's so easy to upcycle or recycle things. If you are ever at all in the projects or any type of area, you've walked down the street, you've seen just dresser drawers out there, just for no good reason. Each one of those dressers is a garden bed. Like you take the drawers out, each drawer is a garden bed. Take the
Thank
whole
you.
dresser itself, put the whole dresser on its back. That's also a garden bed. If you have milk crates, that's a thing you can grow out of. It's utilizing what you have. If you're going to be starting indoors, you're going to want to have windows that are facing the south. Why? The sun rises in that direction. That's where the equator is. I'm actually pointing to, I just happen to be pointing to the south. It's over there because I just know where the directions are. You know what I'm saying? The sun rises over there in the east, southeast, and it goes that way. So if you want to have windows that are on that side, because that's where the sun is. Also, grow lights. That's the thing that we have. You want to get full spectrum grow lights. Grow lights are not that expensive. You can get them. We're actually growing things like in my apartments. We're growing medicinal herbs and stuff like that. They're easy. Herbs are very easy. They're very forgiving. Don't be afraid of hurting the herbs. They'll bounce back. That's what they're meant to do. You know what I'm saying? If you think about yourself as a human being, they say the first law is the law of self-preservation. You're going to make sure that you're going to be all right. You know what I'm saying? You're going to make sure you're going to fight like hell to protect your own life and this and that. The plants do the exact same thing. They ain't going to sit there and just let themselves just die if that's, you know what I'm saying? If they have a choice in that. They're going to fight like I don't know what to make sure that they're going to be all right. So herbs are very forgiving. They're very low maintenance. So I always suggest herbs. When you talk about fruiting things demand more energy. By fruiting, I mean like things like tomatoes, peppers, etc. They're heavy feeders. They need more energy because they're producing actual fruits. Things like herbs and lettuce, they're just using the leaves. They're not growing anything extra. They're just leaves. So all the energy goes into the leaves. It's fine. So lettuce is very easy to grow indoors. And full spectrum grow lights, if it has more of a blue content than the red content, it's gonna, I know I'm giving you a lot right now, I apologize. If it's more blue content than red content for your full spectrum light, it's gonna promote leaf growth more. If it's red content more than blue content, it's gonna produce fruiting more. So you gotta pick depending on what you want, but you gotta start small, start somewhere. Do not be afraid. Find people to help you. You know what I'm saying? That's what my wife and I are here for. We literally hold your hand. You are now in the BIPOC affinity circle. Find your site for you, find your people around you who wanna do it too. And yeah, just tap in. I don't want to take up all the time, but thank y'all.
Thank y'all so much.
Just to add on to that real quick. No, just to add on to that, I know a lot of people can't afford LEDs and they're always asking me what's the next best thing. T5s, T8s. You can literally write that down, do a little quick research to start your plants off inside and get it going. I have like, as soon as you walk through my door in the apartment, you'll see like a whole setup. It's all with T5s and T8s at the moment until I use the LEDs.
Are there any?
Oh,
go ahead.
I just want to say, like, upcycle, like the brother Blessing says, like this plant right here. This is a Puerto Rican oregano. So I had somebody come into the house. It was a big ass plant, right? So I had somebody come to the house that thought she was a farmer, and then she broke my plant and killed it, right? The big plant. So I had to cut a piece of it, of the things that was alive, of the little piece that was alive, and now this little piece has roots growing. I don't know if you see the roots. So that's cloning, y'all. So that helps too. So don't throw anything out. Make sure you find something to do with it. Compost. And if you want to start somewhere, start by not throwing your food. Compost your food. You can start there too.
And identifying things around you that can grow out of, you know what I'm saying? Because you probably have a lot of things. Egg cartons are great for starting seeds, for example. A lot of things you can just make cuttings out of, just like brother Freedom just showed us, you know what I'm saying? But there's a lot. It's just find community and find some good mentors, man. And to everyone else. Thank you.
Are there any specific herbs or plants that you would suggest if people wanted to start tomorrow?
Mint. If you want to get comfortable and feel like you're like the ultimate gardener of all ultimate gardeners, do start with mint. And one good advice underwatering is better than overwatering. If you overwater it, sometimes there's no coming back from it. If you underwater it, just throw a little bit of water on it, it'll jump right up.
Yeah, what Big Homie said, mint will just come back. And the beautiful thing about all these different plants is they all have a lot of different applications, and they all have a side hustle attached to it. You know what I'm saying? My wife and I kill it out here selling teas. We make our own organic teas, no funny business. You know what I'm saying? In fact, we Big Homie Rich has some of ours. I'm pretty sure Big Homie Freedom has some of ours, and people just, it's to die for. Mint has so much application. If you grow mint, mint is so forgiving, it's gonna bounce back like crazy. And it's a beautiful side hustle. You can sell mint teas, you can sell mint products. And it's so easy to get mints because everyone's trying to get rid of mints, because when mint grows in your yard, it is invasive. And to his point about there it is. To his point about overwatering and underwatering, that's when you're actually watering the plant. Don't try to love your plant to death. But like, I'm gonna love you so much, I'm gonna pour all this water on you. Like, no. Because most people either do it too much, too little. It's better to err on too little, because when you have too little, you can always do more. Just to put some more context what my man was saying.
And another thing is, like, every morning, like especially in the summertime, every morning before, as soon as you wake up and before you come inside, you water your plants. You know, you just spray them. Because, you know, water is a blessing, but also is the death. Especially for hemp farmers. The hemp plant, it wants water, but it doesn't want water. Like it needs the water, but don't put too much because I'm gonna drown. So for me, like one of the easiest things to do is just start with herbs. Start with your herbs, your little herb garden. Maybe grow some flowers, you know, for teas as well. Some flowers are pretty easy to grow. So you can grow some sunflowers, you can grow some what's the flower that the bees love? With the H, Huckabee, or what is it called? I forget. I'm asking my wife because she's the flower person. So she knows the flowers for the bees, but there's a lot of different edible flowers too that you can sell. So that's one thing that you can do. Flowers are not that hard. You just got to plant them, put some water, and they do their thing. And you can start like that. You can sell flowers. People love buying flowers. So, you know.
Sure, indeed. And also, like, think about what you want to eat too. You know what I'm saying? Oregano is real nice. Oregano, you put a little piece of oregano in a nice sizable pot, it's going to spread to take over the entire pot. It's going to keep coming back. It's going to be there for a while. Oregano is super easy. And then there's nothing like just pulling off some of your oregano leaves and put it right there in your cooking. You know what I'm saying? Get that fresh oregano, that fresh basil. It's popping.
And also, like, learn about herbalism and plants, like, because it's a lot of plant. Like me and the farm here, we have Indian hemp. So Indian hemp is not the same as hemp. It's a wild plant, and it has like this milky, like water that comes out, and it helps you with insomnia. And we just, you know, we have the app that you just, you know, put the app on the plant, and it tells you what the plant does. So get that. So if just learn about, you know, all the plants that there is, because that's what ancestors did. You know, our ancestors learn about all the herbs, all the plants, what are they good for. So, you know, making sure that, you know, you learn as much as you can about the plants that's around you. Mugwort. A lot of people think mugwort is just another weed. And in New York City, people just, oh my God, weeds all over, right? But here we sold our mugwort. It turns into black sage. And black sage, indigenous people used to use it for menstrual cycle. They used to use it for a lot of different things. Indigenous people here for, you know, insomnia, like I said, they do it for teas. So there's some different things that you can do with the mullein somebody put there, with the mugwort, and those are weeds. And people just jank them off their land without not knowing. There's another plant that grows like weed. It's called plantain. I don't know if you guys know, not plátano, like the Dominican plátano. It's called plantain. So this plant is good for rashes. It's good if you get like a stung by a bee, you put that with the bee stung you, and it will cure it. And it's a weed, and people take it off their backyard, not knowing what it is. So learn as much as you can about the plants.
You just want to co-sign what my brother just said about everything he said. It was on point. We make different, like I said, just having my old school plant medicine knowledge from my Native American side and just that type of stuff. Plantain is real good. We make different products and value-added products from the different herbs that just naturally grow. And foraging is a whole thing that we also do. So yeah, just like I said, finding some good mentors, tap in.
I know Sarah, she found something when she came here that she's like, this is like a berry. This is growing wild in your house. You should monetize this.
Yeah,
I
the
forget
husk
the name of
cherries,
the-
husk
Yeah, there you
cherries.
go.
You just
And
had
they
them
grow
growing
wild.
everywhere. I'm like, yo, well, you got so many because we actually grow those. Like we plant those things and start from seeds, and they sell. People look at them like, what the heck is that? They try one, they're like, I'll take 10. You know what I'm saying?
This is awesome. So much valuable information and knowledge here. Thank you so much for sharing. Does the audience have any other questions? Does anyone else on this Zoom meeting want to either type in the chat or unmute yourself and ask anything? Can I give it another second of silence?
I'm gonna just go ahead and just put this out there.
Oh.
Questions is what brings the best out of everybody. You're gonna pull something out of us, you're gonna pull something out of yourself. You don't ask a question, you ain't gonna get nowhere.
I'm finding a trend with discussing growing food. It's a lot of like metaphors for life too, and community, and it's all together. And so thank you for sharing that, Azeem. V asked how to grow scallions in an apartment. Does anyone know?
I grow it outside. I never grow it inside, but if somebody has that.
I think Blessings to top that off. He gave a good description of it earlier. South side window, all of them pretty much grow the same. Scallions are easier to grow as well. You just have to make sure you have it around the right time of the year, and you're pretty much good. Which I would say, like, just start some off around, I would say, like, next month, and you have some stuff popping up in like the end of March, probably a little sooner than that. And yeah.
Yeah, what he said. If y'all want, we can go in on just some basic things like what's the difference between indoor growing and outdoor growing. You know what I'm saying? If y'all want, like pick our brains. I'm excited to hear what Brother Richard got to say. We ain't built on what he knows too much. You know what I'm saying? I know Freedom know a lot.
I have a question. What was the most important lesson you learned from your first year of growing?
Deer love hemp. So I planted 250 plants and they ate it.
Every animal likes to get high, bro. It doesn't matter. I learned that at when I was in Jamaica. Every animal loves.
Yeah, so they came and just messed up our whole season of hemp. So now we got to build a fence, a hoop house, to be able to grow indoors because deer love hemp. And then we have our car dealer, the guy that sold us our car. He's a hunter, so he hunts with a bow and arrow. So we signed a paper for him to come to the backyard and hunt. So now he's hunting the deer too. So, which I don't condone, but hey.
We got a couple. Oh, go ahead.
My apologies. It's a very loaded and heavy question. What's the most important thing you learned? There's a lot of things that you learn, and that would literally, for me, I'm very poetic with my language. It will take me a couple of hours just to dig into that because I'd like to go deeper than a lot of people tend to expect. But I'll just say this as far as one thing. Every time you're looking at another living being, it's just another reflection of yourself. What I mean by that is this, right? Plants, for example, if you study their life cycle, how they grow, why they grow, you know what I'm saying? You'll start to analyze plants do actually have some sort of a thought process. They do have some sort of emotion. You can, when you, the more you increase what I call your sensitivity, the more you can tell when they're happy about something, when they're sad about something. You really look at a plant and say, oh, you're potassium deficient, or oh, you haven't been watered today, or you know what I'm saying? It really is a thing. You can psychologically link up with your plants. And the more you study them and the more you study people around you, if you are humble enough, the more you invite that humility into your life, you know what I'm saying? You can learn more things about yourself because everything's trying to teach you how to get to that next level. If you watch how plants are so much more in tune with their surroundings and their ecosystem than a lot of us tend to be, because a lot of us grow up, a big hallmark of the American psyche is competition. You know what I'm saying? We have to compete. We have to compete each other out. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I understand when that plant has its roots tapped in to that soil, it's tapped in to a whole ecosystem where everything's working together. And if this plant starting to get sick, this plant over here is going to funnel in some nutrients. You know what I'm saying? It's just to be mindful, be humble, and just watch everything with the mindset of a student and with the willingness to grow.
Thank you so much for that answer, Azeem.
The first thing I learned my first year of market, I had to go straight to market. Because I've been farming for a while, you know, I've been doing that for a while. I'm talking about like first year I really went to market. I learned that nobody cares what you like. You have to learn what the customers like or what they need, what's needed in that neighborhood, and then supply that. Because you may grow all the stuff that you would like and think that everyone would like, but they don't care. It's not going to sell. So try to do a little research on what's needed in my community. Everybody likes, I'm Jamaican. Everybody wants callaloo. So I pop with that, it's going to go. I love callaloo, so why not? The first year I did it, I know I had a lot of spinach. Nobody cared about spinach. They wanted collard greens. So little stuff like that, just knowing what's good and culturally appropriate for your neighborhood.
Yeah, more
That's the most
Jamaicans here in
important
Hartford than anywhere else in the country except for New York. So you gotta tap into that, tap into them cash crops. They love that thyme, that callaloo, and that Scotch bonnet. Everyone just coming. I'm not Jamaican, but
thing.
everyone is
Peppers,
like
man.
that Scotch bonnet.
Cilantro. Cilantro. We need that cilantro too, to make that paste for the oxtail. You know, I know we plant based over here, but when we used to eat meat.
These are incredible answers. This is really exciting.
So I just want to say, I put it on the chat. You
Yeah,
should play music and talk to your plants. They understand you and they feel you. And if you're feeling stressed, they're gonna be stressed too. So you have to play music every morning when you water them, talk to them, tell them your problems. They will heal you.
I just want to co-sign that. You know what I'm saying? I for those who don't know, I'm an MC. I'm a rapper. I be rapping to my plants. They actually grow better when you talk to them. They grow better when you feel them, just like he's saying. You know what I'm saying?
In the last 5 minutes, there are a couple questions in the chat I want to address before we close. What are like 5 easy plants to start with? What are some starter plants you would recommend?
Crop planning. Plan your crop, what you're gonna grow, when you're gonna grow it. How you're gonna do it in between, because you have to keep growing, right? So you're gonna plant your first round. So you gotta figure it out when you're gonna plant in between rounds. So you can always keep growing and not stopping. That's one thing that we did. We didn't do our spacing well. So you have to learn how to do your spacing when you're planting, and crop planning is important. Zones, like figure it out what zones are you gonna plant what. Make sure you keep a journal. Somebody said over here, keeping a journal of everything that you have done is very important. So you can come back anytime and say, this didn't work, so I have to try this. for the next round. So making sure that you have those things, and then I let everybody else talk. But that's the two main things for me is those.
Well, it would be a redundancy to somewhat because we did already touch on different herbs, and that's usually like the first thing we recommend is the herbs.
And for me, it gets deeper than that. What do you mean easiest plant to grow? Like the one that takes less maintenance, the one that takes less water, the one that won't need, you know, I'm that specific.
Yeah, Rich. So I was just asking, you know, for someone who's new to growing, who's, you know, may have never grown anything before, what would be some starter plants that you would give them all?
I thought you said start a plan. So I was like, oh, crop planting.
No, that was still an amazing answer. I learned a lot. So
Yeah, I just bring it back to that mint. Bring it back to
Yeah,
things that
mint.
just are very forgiving. So, you know, mint, oregano, things that you can just like mess up and it's gonna be like, you know what, I forgive you, I'm gonna come back anyways. Low maintenance like that. And that will help you learn how to water appropriately.
Cucumbers and tomatoes will teach you that very well. How to
Snap
water.
peas, bush beans, sunflowers, different variety of mints.
And the
Yeah,
three sisters, corn,
Three
Yeah.
sisters,
squash,
yeah.
corn, squash, and beans. That's
Yeah.
like mandatory for you to grow.
just be
And
careful of squash beetles. Just be on it. As soon as you see them, treat them.
Yep.
Yeah. And bean is super dope because they actually take nitrogen from the atmosphere and fix it into the soil. And that's the thing, it's water soluble, so we are very often losing nitrogen in the soil. We are very often losing nitrogen in the soil because all the rains and stuff that we get out here. So things that can produce their own nitrogen, great.
And then I'm gonna say, I know it's hard to grow hemp, but hemp is sequesters carbon back to the soil. So if you grow hemp, you are sequestering carbon back to the soil, and they pump out oxygen. So if you have an acre of hemp, that acre of hemp will generate more oxygen than an acre of a full-grown plant.
Full-grown trees. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Don't they pull out heavy metals in the soil as well?
correct.
Yes, they do.
Now I would love to hit this last question I saw about as Black farmers, what do you see agriculture going in the future? That's popping.
yeah, please. If I know it's 6:30, but I would really love it if we could stay for an extra few minutes if you wanted to, if you can and wanted to answer that.
I want to take that one first, or should I just take it some already here?
I'll touch the scratch, man, because it seems like y'all get deep. I'll scratch the surface real quick. I'll say, for example, on this call right here, we have 3 young men that's willing to teach other 3, any individuals, especially those of color. I know from my program as well, I have like every cell that I get, 3% of it is going towards BIPOC students, whether it's that's me teaching them or it's going towards a scholarship. We're definitely get them in there to get them into the schools. Right now, we have like tutor systems that's teaching all these young folks the youth programs. That's really great. You can hit me up at any time. And if you're trying to get your business started as a BIPOC farmer, we going forward. And I see that happening with a lot of BIPOC farmers that I'm talking to. Any BIPOC farmer say, hey, you're trying to get started, come and talk to me. Usually I'm so business minded, I'm like, I can't help you. But I'm like, okay, you know what? You got to help the future. You got to help the future grow. Youth, as in teaching the youth, that's the way to go about it. You guys show them like you're farming for financial freedom. You know, you trying to get your own bread. This is what you guys show them bits and pieces. I'm very financially inclined as well when it comes to that. So you have to teach the other youth like, yo, you can get a lot of bread with this. Once they see that, they're in and they get into the whole food justice thing. It's crazy how you can lock them in with just little bits and pieces. That's what I got to say for now. I see it expanding more rather than going backwards. Yeah.
I'll let you go last because I know you have a lot of things to say, Bless. So about this question in particular. So for me, like to piggyback what Brother Rich said, it's all about teaching the youngins, making sure that the youngins are interested and aware of the opportunities that can become from becoming a farmer, that they can have from becoming a farmer. And for us as farmers that's already farming, I just see that if we don't put our foot, they're gonna keep oppressing Black farmers, Black and brown farmers. Right now, like, you know, last year when Biden became, in 2020, when he became president, he put $5 billion for Black farmers. And then all the big companies, the big agro companies got upset and sued, and all that money went right back to them. And then a lot of that money also went to nonprofits that are run by white folks to talk about BIPAC farmers and train BIPAC farmers. And I just don't get that. If you're putting money for us, why can't you just give us the money? And right now, that's for me, that's where we have to go, is to unite, come together, share resources, create our own markets, because the market right now is not for us, it's for monocrops. So for us, it's just unity and coming together. And there's a lot more that I can say, but you know, we don't have that much time. So go ahead, my brother. Blessings.
Yo, that's peace. That's peace on both of y'all. And being brief, it is an actual necessity for survival. It is an actual necessity for our survival as a people that we do come together. We learn how to master the soil. We learn how to master being producers for ourselves. They say by the year 2050 that the amount of money that Black people will have in assets will be $0. Why is that important? I highly recommend everyone go ahead and, as soon as y'all get off this phone, go read the Willie Lynch letter. Go read the Willie Lynch letter. I promise y'all, it's very important. It has a lot to do with why things are the way they are today. So we're actually headed downwards as a people, economically speaking, right? So like my man homie Rich is saying, he has them 4 F's. He farms for financial freedom. Well, we came here to be farmers to begin with. If we don't come together, unify, and start producing our own needs as a people, things will get worse for us. We can't pretend like Brother Freedom just said. Biden put aside some money and the millions of dollars for BIPOC farmers. White folk got mad and they sued for racial discrimination. How does that happen? Right? But where all the money go? 97% of it went towards them. They've been playing games with our liberation and our freedom for hundreds of years. You know what I'm saying? I get spiritually deep with it. I make sure everyone feels good and feels hopeful and feels uplifted. But the first thing we need is that a picture of the reality that if we do not do something to start becoming producers of our own needs, we will still be suffering the same crap we've been suffering time and time again. You know what I'm saying? You know where to go to get the good stuff. You have to go to where white folk live. You have to go to their areas, go to their grocery stores, and put up with racial discrimination to get some better food. Because you go to the hood, you go to the local bodega, what we got there? We got stuff. There's chemistry in some of these stuff, like Little Debbie's. They actually have, you know, Little Debbie's pastries. They actually have chemistry in the pastries that causes mental retardation. Like this is a whole thing that we're dealing with. What you eat directly impacts your thoughts, how you think. It directly impacts your emotions. It has something to do with our homicide rate and our suicide rate. You know what I'm saying? But guess what? If us having our mouths in the kitchen of people who do not care for us is a major part of the problem, that's also a major part of the solution. It's a major part of the solution. And there's nothing more beautiful than being able to go to your own spot and be like, you know, this is tight. I got my own tomato and they taste better. Most of our people have never had a real tomato before, never had a real cucumber before. They've never functioned at a high enough of a level as far as their brain health because they've never actually had the food that produces enough of the energy that your brain consumes. You know what I'm saying? It's not about how smart you are or how well you think. That's not the most important thing with that. You know what I'm saying? Because what you consume directly impacts that. And we have so much opportunity now, more so than ever, because there are more and more of us who are really taking the reins. I'm not just talking about older heads. The older heads there too, those who are really about feeding the people, they're still there. And they're trying to guide everybody. I have so many mentors, I couldn't count them on my two hands. You know what I'm saying? That's very important. We have so much community around us, but you have to go find them. You have to go be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Who is a like mind that's down? And you will be able to find people from around the place in your local area and beyond who's going to help you figure out them problems. And like I said, individualism will not help you do anything. There's no one who is actually self-made. That's a myth. They say things like don't mix family and business, but it's families that run the country. The DuPonts, the Carnegies, everyone who owns these big banks, this and that, right? We have to start to deprogram that self-hatred. One of my teachers said we have to love the people more than they hate themselves. Part of that is with the food. Part of that is how we treat each other. I see Freedom, I call him my brother. I'm excited to call him my brother, you know what I'm saying? Well, if I call him brother enough, I understand that you program your subconscious mind by way of repetition. I'm going to start to see him as my actual brother. You know what I'm saying? If I see my sister over there, I keep calling her sister so-and-so, I'm gonna actually start to see her as my sister. We have to begin to unify, do away with the envy, do away with the things that divide us on an artificial front. Okay, well, this one's a Muslim and this one's a Christian. Who cares? Are we all in this together or are we not all in this together? Do I not want Christian tomatoes or do I not want Jewish turkey? You know what I'm saying? We have to do away with the artificial things and come together around the things that sustain us. I'm trying not to get too deep on this, but that's just, it's such a beautiful and big picture that we have here. And you will have the help around you as long as you get started. Don't fear it, jump into it. You have people who will hold your hand and walk you through it. There is so much potential. There's so much more to grow, so much more to learn. There's so much more to become as you get started. You know what I'm saying? I'm just grateful to share this space and time with y'all. And y'all here because y'all invested in yourselves. I'm here because I'm invested in myself. Big homie, Brother Rich is here because he invested in himself. So invest in yourself and just be part of the community and be with love, and I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thanks so much, everybody.
I mean, we have to come together at some point, but I just wanted to acknowledge you, brother. Thank you so much for those words, and we appreciate you, man.
Definitely.
Unfortunately, I feel like we could all chat with you and hear your wisdom for hours. At least I certainly could. Can we do this every week? Have a talk with you? Simone asked a question in the chat, which we don't have to answer, but it was specifically for you, Freedom, about beekeeping and any tips. So I don't know if you maybe want to put in your email, if we can connect with you after. And
but it's like the brother Blessing says, just jump into it. Like beekeeping is beekeeping. You just got to jump into it. But please, I'm gonna put my information and send me an email, and I'll definitely talk to you. And another, this is what I wanted to say, is that the three of us, we're not, even though we are speaking to you, we are not experts. I mean, I don't feel like I'm an expert. I'm learning every day. So like, even though we're here and we look like, you know, the people that are farming, we can all learn from each other. I don't know much about, you know, what Brother Rich is doing financially. Like, I need to get my mind into that when it comes to the farming. Like, how can I charge? I just charge for my my cucumbers. I was charging 50 cents. And I go to Whole Foods and it's $2-3.
Yeah.
And it's not even as close to the food that I'm growing here. So like, you know, investing in yourself and learning these things, you know, it takes time, but if we come together, That's the point. And you know, I can learn from everybody here. So yeah.
Thank you all so very much. So many highlights from this evening. Before we break, is there any other last words anyone would like to say?
Buy candles now at parkcityharvest.com.
Yeah, catch my wife and I at Samad Gardens Initiative. That's, I'm gonna put it in the chat, but that's SAMAD Gardens Initiative, because we are initiating gardens. You know what I'm saying? Follow us to IG, SamadGardensInitiative.com, Facebook, all that jazz, and we will be at a spot near you. We are within arm's reach, and you have mentors in this room. Me, Brother Freedom, Brother Rich, tap us. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let Brother Freedom give his credentials, but just tap in. You got people around you. Don't be afraid to fail, and don't be afraid to start.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us this evening. And I hope that we all stay connected and support each other.
Thank you guys.
Thank you
Hopefully
so
we do this
much.
every week. We do this every week. Let's do this every week. I'm down. Let's do it.
I'm down.
And have a good night, everyone.
Have a good one.
Peace.
Have a good night, everyone.
Peace.